That was a sweat, man. That was really a sweat as the 76ers escape Utah with a victory over the Jazz on the road. A winning streak is happening, 114, 111. The 76ers are now 12-17. The Jazz now 7-23. But more importantly, the Sixers get this win. And Kyle Neubeck, Derek Bodner, I'm Devon Givens. Bree is producing. All of you hanging out with us in the chat. This post-game show is presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And Kyle, I always like to say, whenever Bet365 comes up and we're talking about the Sixers, they don't make it ordinary, man. They have to make it a little bit tough on us. While they escape with the win, a 3-point victory, and a much-needed ugly win, man, they made that one rough.
Boy, that was something. And it was, it's funny because we're involved, at least Eric and I are involved in our Discord during the games. And so we ride the...
we have to make up for Devon not being there. So Kyle and I are very involved.
Correct. So we ride the roller coaster along with all the good people in their homes, at bars, wherever they're at watching the game. And the whole time I'm telling the people, nah, this is an easy W. This is an easy W. Like, don't worry about it. It's the Jazz. And then it gets to be like, 4 or 5 minutes left. And I don't say anything, but I'm like, oh man, they really might smoke this one.
Yeah.
And so thankfully, at the end of the game, when all the chips were down, the Sixers decided, hey, maybe we should run the good plays again. Maybe we should run the plays that actually work. Maybe we should give the ball to Joel Embiid at the nail and run pick and rolls with Tyrese Maxey. Maybe we'll have him post up a guy who's been in foul trouble for 2/3 of the game. And when the double comes, we'll have Tyrese Maxey a pass away for a catch and shoot three. And for some reason, I don't know what they were doing. They got up, like 10 or 11 early in the second half. And that was the moment where I said to myself, oh, they're putting this one away. Like at first half, I get it. You come off the big Christmas win, but this is it, right? They're going to go on a run. They'll be up 15, 20 points. They have a clear runway. Utah packing in. They'll play all the young guys. And they just, for lack of a better description, played bozo basketball from that point until about the end of the game, frankly, because I was going to say until the 4 or 5 minute mark, but then I watched that possession with 40 seconds left in the game where Joel and Paul exchanged 2 or 3 of the dumbest passes I've ever seen in my life, and they got bailed out by a tripping call, which you don't see many of those. I said it in the Discord during the game. It really tested my pregame thought or pregame thesis of, I don't care about the aesthetics. I don't care how it has to happen. Just get the wins. Well, they got the win, and it certainly didn't feel all that good, but it is still a win.
No, and look, when you are in the middle of 9-12, like the Sixers are, not everyone is going to be pretty. Not everyone is going to be confidence inspiring. At some point, you do have to just get the win. And especially when you're coming off of a good win over the Spurs, a great win over the Celtics. I fully agree that just get the win. It doesn't matter how. That doesn't mean that during the middle of the game, I wasn't absolutely losing my mind, because first and third quarters, they just could not defend their man. They could not keep in front of them at all. Because of that, they were playing, having to inbound everything, and their offense was sloppy. And then they just go through these moments where it's like they haven't played basketball before. And I get they haven't really played basketball together all that much, but I mean just a sport in general. It looked like they were all picking a ball up for the first time, and it was wildly frustrating. They did claw back, in large part because Tyrese Maxey got hot from the perimeter after missing some shots earlier, but they clawed back, found a way. It's really, once we get past this show, that's my only real takeaway, is that they found a way to win. But boy, like Kyle said, it was more frustrating than it had to be.
It was real challenging, man. Just so as you guys look, they get the win. But Kyle, you brought up the fact that the two-man game of Embiid and George on that one of those final possessions there, where they got bailed out on that call, the refs go back and look at it, and while Clarkson probably bumped him or whatever he did to foul him, they really got bailed out, because the fact that what I wrote in my notes was these guys still don't know how to play off of one another, because Maxey and Embiid, they can do that pretty easily. But those two, Paul George gets the ball and explodes to the basket, gets by his man and decides, let me drop this off to Joel Embiid right here instead of me going to finish at the rim or pull-up jumper, the fadeaway that he's so accustomed to taking and more often than not making it, and they get bailed out. And it was just a ridiculous decision there. And while yes, you take a win, however you get it, and you said it at the top of the pregame there, Kyle, that you just take it how you can get it. Man, that was rough to just sit there and watch it. Like, these guys are gonna spit this one up, man. I mean, they win it, they get a tip in which they don't win, and they get a break out where Kelly Oubre, and I immediately thought of Derek, he can't finish with his right hand, because it was a rebound drill off the glass, and he was looking for a foul just because Jordan Clarkson tapped him on the side. So, man, they're lucky to escape Utah with that one and get away with the win there. It wasn't pretty. They got it done, but they had some things go their way towards the end to eventually get the win. And Lowry marking and making that three doesn't help there, right there inside the logo. Also doesn't help to cut the lead to one, man. They had us sweating for that one.
Well, speaking of Kelly Oubre, you want to start with the absolute worst of the worst. That guy was borderline point shaving tonight. That was a disgraceful performance. And we've talked a lot about, I've been super encouraged by Kelly's play at this point, it's been 3 weeks, a month or whatever, of pretty consistently good play on both ends of the floor, fairly restrained on offense, really disciplined and playing hard on defense. And he was probably the face of those early problems where the over pursuits were brutal. The over aggression at times was brutal. There were times when he's off the ball and he's just head in the clouds, letting a guy back cut him or get to the middle of the floor, get to spots that they shouldn't be in. And so then it becomes Joel Embiid trying to save everything in the middle of the floor. And Joel didn't have his best, certainly first half. I thought he had some moments in the second half where he's really good defensively. But when you're asking Joel, who doesn't have a ton of lift right now, to save everything in the middle of the floor defensively, you're going to end up with quite a few of those possessions where he's not finding the middle ground between whether it's Clarkson or Sexton and Walker Kessler. I mean, they were getting some freebies in that, 8 to 10 foot range. And if they weren't getting those, Kessler was getting an easy dunk early in the game. I mean, Eubanks was getting some easy stuff. There's just the defensive issues were all over the place tonight, but Kelly was probably the worst example of all of them. And then it wasn't even just the missed. He thought he got fouled, whatever. It's that he just stood there and was like, ugh, and like did the bad body language. Like, I didn't get a call. It's like, bro, it was probably like a 2-point game at that point when that possession happened.
Yeah.
Get your ass back. Like that would have driven me nuts if I was Nurse. Now, problem being, they didn't exactly have a lot of guys playing well in that game. In fact, I think the guy who ended up being the hero in the fourth quarter, Tyrese Maxey, that was one of the most infuriating games for me of this season, because I thought it showed all the stuff that he still doesn't do well, that he needs to do well in order to succeed at a higher level in the playoffs and moving forward. But yeah, just first wanted to say, what the hell was Kelly Oubre doing tonight?
I'll even pivot over to the Maxey piece as you talk about that, because earlier in the game, I thought, and you guys know, like we make fun of the joke that I like to have about throwing the lobs and all. It's a real thing, of course, as we talk about.
I was going to say, it's not a joke. You love lobs like nothing else.
Because I also think that's something, with his vision and picking up the game in that way. I thought he missed two really, he had a perfect break in the third quarter on the right side of the floor with Paul George trailing, who hit him on the right side with the pass. So he's streaking down the middle with one man back. Caleb Martin fills the left lane. And even though Paul George was trailing in that middle. Caleb
I
Martin
hated
was
this
wide
same
open on
exact
the left.
possession, Devon. I was
And
screaming at my
whether it was a lob or simply ball fake bounce pass, it was also Jordan Clarkson back there, who is not known for his defensive stopping as part of his game. Offensive rebound. Caleb Martin finds Tyrese Maxey for a three-pointer to make up for the missed opportunity. He misses it. Fast break the other way. And I'm sitting there going, what was he thinking? Because, get to the basket and finish. But that right there, Derek, is what I was saying of throw the lob there or just simply bounce pass for Caleb Martin to finish on the other side. And even if Caleb Martin is then being defended by Clarkson, who decides to quickly turn around and defend him, that's a drop-off pass to Paul George, again, trailing in the middle of the floor where he's most likely either going to finish it or get fouled at the rim because he was still the only one back there, Clarkson. So for that one, I had a problem with. And then he also had one, and I know we're complaining after a win, but these are just some of the things that stand out here. He missed Kelly Oubre on the baseline as he went to the lane.
That was the one that got me. You mean the one on the blocking foul?
Yeah, and he made 1 for 2. Jazz are up 96-93. He could have again bounce pass to Kelly Oubre or lob it to Kelly Oubre for a finish right there at the rim. So those were two opportunities, as Kyle, you pointed out. He had a really, really good close to help secure this win. But those are just small things, once again, that can help you lose a game just as much as it can help you win a game. Swing plays.
Yeah. No, the one that he got the blocking foul on, I thought, quite frankly, if they challenged that, I thought that had a chance of getting overturned, and that was big. And he ended up only going 1 for 2 from the line anyway. So that could have proved big, but it's just emblematic of, when he's coming in off that dribble, he tends to have tunnel vision. And I think that makes him more predictable. I think that makes him easier to defend. And because of that, I think he misses some teammates. And look, he made some huge shots down the stretch, ended up with 12 fourth quarter points. Really, I thought when they needed infusion, he gave it to them. A lot of those were, I think he made 3-3-pointers there in the fourth quarter. They were huge. He ended up being big on the win, but to Kyle's point, through 3 quarters, I thought this was a very frustrating game for Maxey. I thought he struggled on both sides of the floor. I think he's made some huge progress defensively throughout the season, so I want to give him credit for that. I did not think tonight was a particularly good showing from him on either side up until that fourth quarter. That fourth quarter changed everything, like I said. But yeah, it was definitely a frustrating one for them.
All right, I think we can be a little positive, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They did win the game, right? I think if people are coming in here and saying, "Well, they won," well, you're not going to be happy with how we analyze games. It's not as simple as it's just the end result. Sometimes when they lose, we've been in here telling you, "Hey, that was a good performance," and there are signs of life and all that, but the problem is they need to get to the playoff position and the seeding and whatnot in order to focus more on that stuff. But look, this is the job that they needed to do, which was win. They did. Everything else basically sucked, right? Like I think Derek said either on Twitter or Discord, like it's too late for me to actually go check, was like other than offense, defense, taking care of the ball, not foul, and rebounding. Everything's been going great, right? So here's somebody I'll focus on a positive note. Guerschon Yabusele changed the energy of this game when he checked in the first half. Very first possession, steps into the game, offensive rebound on a missed free throw. A little bit later on, that lineup, and by the way, Nick Nurse played some, I'm not going to use the phrasing I want to, but he played some bad lineups tonight. He played some just like, I don't know what you're looking at or why you would think this would succeed type of lineup. So they tread water with Yabu at the 5. But when Joel comes back and they play the bigger front court, right, and they play the bigger lineup, Yabu didn't get credited with another offensive rebound, but on a Joel missed free throw, forced a Walker Kessler foul on a loose ball because he's diving on the floor and creating another play. And on a night where they came out slow, some of these guys appeared to still be kind of focused on the Boston game. I thought Yabu coming in and snapping a few teammates back to attention was a big deal. And like, once again, he's a great example of what you love in role players, which is he does a different job every night, depending on what do they need tonight? Tonight he goes and gets 8 rebounds, including 5 offensive rebounds. He's throwing his body around, hits a couple of threes, and it was more what he offered as the front court partner to Joel and not necessarily as the lone center. And so I know he committed some dumb fouls in this game, and he was certainly not perfect. Nobody on this team was perfect tonight or really anything close. But I thought the second that he came into the game, he made a difference just by it's like everybody looks at him. It's like, well, if he's playing hard, then I got to play hard. And it just creates this kind of domino effect that I thought touched the rest of the roster.
Yeah. You can definitely rely on him. And his shot's been, bounced back. He had a couple weeks there where he was struggling from perimeter. Last week or so, he has been shooting the ball well. But you can count on him for energy every night. Ended up the night with 5 offensive rebounds. I think they've still probably got hit pretty hard on the defensive glass when he was in the game. I feel like that was a problem the entire night. But he at least earned some possessions back on the other end. And the defensive rotations, the willingness to fight for loose balls and get his hands in there. It's just a consistent night thing, and they really, really need that right now. He's been their best backup center. He's been a good option at the 4 next to Joel. He has been very, very consistent, even when that shot isn't falling.
I thought 2 plays really stood out for me outside of the offensive rebound to come in and change right away in the first quarter was the big 3-pointer that he made where the Sixers were trailing in the fourth quarter. And then he also made a play a little bit earlier where he got the ball just before half court. Kelly Oubre had already leaked out, but instead of just throwing it over the top, he waited and kind of ball faked it and then threw it around the defender, which allowed Kelly Oubre to catch that ball streaking to the basket and finishing. And we talk about his IQ being one of the best on this basketball team. And I thought that showed in that particular play right there. So just overall, he just continues to be a positive for Nick Nurse and when he has him out there on the floor. And that's why we always call for him to get the necessary minutes. Unfortunately, you also saw where he's the only one at times with that effort out there. When Joel Embiid is on the bench, he's at the 5, and you can tell where it's a problem with the Jazz getting some offensive rebounds, maybe some loose balls. He's the one diving on the floor along with Caleb Martin and even Kyle Lowry at times. But just good overall minutes from him tonight to help get this win for the Sixers. So those two plays really stood out for me, that big 3 and that pass to Kelly Oubre in the open floor for that finish. When we come back, we went 17 minutes, close to 18 minutes, and haven't really mentioned Joel Embiid. We'll talk about his night. A little bit up and down for him in certain spots, but in the end, he still finished with plus 30 because that's what Joel Embiid does. We'll talk about him in this win. Sixers pick up the win 114-111. They have now won 3 games in a row. Don't break them up. They're on a winning streak. We'll talk about it more when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365.
Well, guys, I haven't been subjecting you to the coughing I've been doing on this side of the screen, but it's a great way to remind you that Rite Aid gives you access to the pneumonia vaccine. You want to help protect yourself from pneumonia. Adults age 50 and older are now eligible for the vaccine, and it was previously ages 65 plus. CDC lowered the age recommendation. Millions of people get pneumonia every year, according to the CDC. It's a respiratory illness, and fall and winter are a time when germs cause respiratory disease to spread more in the community. So now's the time to get vaccinated and help yourself stay healthy. Some people who get pneumonia have mild symptoms. Others experience serious complications. Here's the good news. Usually no cost with insurance to get the pneumonia vaccine, and getting vaccinated is easy. So just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. If you're unsure of what you may need, just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. Stop by your local Rite Aid today.
I have to also tell you about our good friends from Glatt Hair Restoration teaming up with our Dr. Morgenstern of the Morgenstern Center for Orbital and Facial Plastic Surgery. They have combined forces. Glatt Hair Restoration is now under the direction of renowned plastic surgeon Dr. Ken Morgenstern. And even though they have switched spots and jumped in and combined together, the same peerless approach to care is still there. Also, the expert team, same unmatched Glatt system in the same state-of-the-art location. finishing off with the same stellar results overall. Each member of this exceptionally trained team brings 30 plus years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all that they do. Glad Hair can help during all stages of hair loss. So if you're worried about how you're looking and you want to correct the problem with leading edge treatments for prevention and restoration, Glad Hair and Morgenstern, including these are the types of things that you will get: laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, topical oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, hair restoration surgery. And while you're there, each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment. Caring patient advocates work with you from the first phone call to the last follow-up visit. And they understand that the decision can be emotional and very challenging. They're here to help make your experience simple and stress-free. Bald is now optional, but if you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glad Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit gladhairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. I saw that as you were talking about Rite Aid, Kyle, that Jess is sitting there and she's dealing with a flu. So somebody might need to go to Rite Aid for Jess to make sure that she's good over there.
Speaking of health issues, did anybody happen to see the clip of Joel at the very end of the broadcast tonight?
So I did not see it. I saw somebody talking about it in the chat.
Yeah, I saw people talking about it, but I didn't see it.
He was down on one knee with like an arm over his face, and then he stands up and he like reaches out as if he can't see any. It's a really weird, like reaches out as if he can't see anything. And I think it's like Bub or one of the security guys is right there, and he grabs him, and then he starts walking normal. It was a very bizarre. It might have just been like he had something in his eye. I have no idea. But as always, there's just nothing. We can't get through a single game without some kind of weirdness.
Coming out of that last time out, I thought it was the head trainer, Kevin Johnson, talking to him just before they were coming back on the floor, and he didn't have the mask on. I thought that Kevin Johnson was trying to give him the mask, and he declined it and said no. He went out there on that final play, that final possession, without his mask on. I don't know if anything happened before that with the mask on that prompted him to take it off, or if he just decided, guts of the game, I need that off my face to see much better. So that's the part that I saw. I did not see the part that you're laying out there, and I thought it was very interesting that they allowed him to go out there with that mask on.
Is KJ the longest tenured person in the organization?
He or probably Alan Lumpkin, maybe.
Because he's been there since the Iverson era, like legitimately.
Yeah,
like first Iverson era, not even the Iverson coming back era.
Yes, yeah. So was Lump. I think both of them. Yeah.
Right.
But I did notice that's the part that I saw where he did not have the mask on, and I thought that was a choice there by Joel Embiid. All right, Joel Embiid. He still ended up with even 32 points, 10 of 21 from the floor. Both he and Maxey would tie for the game high of 32. Got to the free throw line 13 times, knocked down 11, 10 for 21, 1 for 4 from 3. You could see his three-point shot was flat. He did make one there in the second half. 3 block shots, 4 steals for Embiid, 5 boards, 4 assists, and that was his night tonight. Derek, what did you think of Joel Embiid's play tonight?
Yeah, I offensively, I think for the most part he was good. You mentioned the 3-point shot. They all seemed like they came out short. He seemed like he wasn't getting very much lift on that. You know, some of the turnovers were infuriating, but he found ways to score. I have a little bit of a concern on the glass. He just does not seem like he is elevating all that well off of 2 feet, whether it's on the glass. There's that one spin move he had baseline where he didn't seem like he had confidence to go up for that. And I think for the most part, Kyle and I have been kind of hammering that, hey, maybe you don't want him trying to dunk on people considering all the injuries he's had through it. But he also doesn't look like he has full, like I said, the elevation. Either it's not there or he doesn't have confidence that it's there. And I think you see that showing up not only in that baseline move, but on the glass as well. And the Sixers got really hit hard on the glass. I know if you just go by raw stats, it probably doesn't look that bad. What did Utah end up with? 14 offensive rebounds. They only missed 46 shots. So if you collect 14 of them, that is not a very good percentage. The Sixers, on the other hand, had way more offensive rebounding opportunities and came up with fewer. They got hit hard on the glass. I think Joel was part of that. But for the most part, especially as the game wore on, I think he made better decisions with the ball. I think he found ways to sort of assert himself. He sort of had that, left-handed hook that's been a go-to move for him of late. And I think he found ways to get what they needed. Like I said, the rebounding frustrated me. The turnovers frustrated me. But for the most part, I thought he came up with some big plays down the stretch.
So I'm glad you were frustrated by the turnovers, because that's my I'm cranky about this game corner, is that's the sort of game and the sort of mistakes that we've ranted about, or I've ranted about, as it pertains to the playoff issues, right? Where I think that actually the worst part of the game from a ball security perspective for him was when they went on the big run and they're in the middle of, climbing out of the hole, and they pull ahead at halftime, but could have, a 5-point lead thereabouts at halftime, and then 6 after the tech coming out of halftime. Probably could have been 10 to 15 points. And there are 3 turnovers that jump out. One was him trying to run with the ball or make a move with the ball before he had caught it. Goes off his hands, turnover, goes the other way. Second one, he couldn't decide between taking a 3 and driving, gets stuck between 2 worlds, ends up traveling, turnover the other way. And then the third and most ridiculous of the turnovers, throwing the overhead no-look pass to Ricky Council, cutting along the baseline with, I think it was like 33 seconds left in the half. And did they end up resulting in a loss? No. Did they end up resulting in the run not pulling them out in front? No. But you're denting the impact that run had on the game. It was the best stretch they had as a team the entire game, where you're creating turnovers, you're getting out on the break, you're getting stops. And I want to say Utah only scored like 18 points or something like that in the second quarter, somewhere in that area. Somebody can double check me on that.
18 and 35 to 18. Yep.
Yeah. So, but that could have been, pretty easily like a 45 to 18 with a few more good possessions, even if it's 42. Like it's a difference between, in a game that's back and forth the whole night and down to the wire, those possessions matter. And I just want him to value the ball more than he does. And I don't always know what the cause of it is, right? Sometimes it's bad hands. Sometimes it's just a miscommunication. So it's always something different. I just see these stretches where he gives the ball away 2 and 3 times in quick succession and think to myself, well, if he's giving it away now in a meaningless game against Utah, against a team that's not very good on either side of the floor, that's going to happen again in a meaningful moment later. So I agree with Derek. Like, there's lots of good stuff in that game, especially, I think, as much of a concern as it is for me that the explosiveness and the lift isn't there, I do think you can see how he's adjusting his game and using, the up fakes and the touch shots and the hooks and the different things around the basket to still be as close as he can be to this, dominant MVP version of himself. He still ends up scoring 32 points on a night where he didn't shoot the ball particularly well. So that's more in line with the Joel we expect. But when we're looking at things like those turnovers and we're looking at things like the rebounds, which I agree, it wasn't all his fault that the team didn't rebound well, but he didn't rebound well individually either. And there are some where it's like he's just waving one arm in the air, and it's like that's not good enough. Like, say it all the time. 2 hands up, go grab the ball, and don't let people dislodge you, overpower you, whatever it is. So a decent game from him. Not a great game for him. Not even.
Yeah, there's nobody on the team I think I would give a great game grade to.
Yeah.
Maybe Yabu. That would be it.
It's weird to say because he had, 32, and then it's, he's lighting up the box score, not in the rebounding, but 4 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks. Like he's all over it. and had a lot of good moments. But I think you can see it's like a perfect take game, right? If I wanted to sit here and just spend 20 minutes complaining about Joel's turnovers and what it all means, you could do it. If you wanted to say, hey, they gave him the ball in crunch time and their only good offense was offense involving Joel and playing off of him, that's also true. So it's a eye of the beholder game for him. Again, I just default back to I'm glad they won.
I think both for he and Maxey, since neither one of them had a great game, they still end up with 32. That's just how good they are. It encapsulates where Igavini says that one pass he had fallen down to Maxey in the corner, where Maxey fades to his left over two defenders, one of which was either Markkanen or Kessler, because I'm just talking about
too many white guys on that team. You're allowed to make a mistake. I give you permission.
It was one of those two guys, and Igavini, great point. And I bring that up because it was his fault that he was falling to the floor in the first place, because he made a silly decision again of trying to do too much with the basketball there. He saved himself by finding Maxey and Maxey hitting that tough shot.
Was that the play where he spun baseline and hesitated to elevate? I think that was the same play that.
Yeah, he spun baseline because before those ball fakes were working and it got them in the air, and the play before, Kessler whistled for his fifth foul, I believe. You saw Clarkson talking to him, basically saying, "Dude, why you keep falling for that?" And he adjusted. So he adjusted. He didn't fall for it. So he tried to reverse pivot again. And he was stumbling all over himself, and then he's falling and he finds Maxey. So, but I also thought of the other plays that got to me a little bit was the trust issue again. He trusts Tyrese Maxey. He'll throw him the ball anytime. Even the overhead pass to Ricky, I was like, all right, he's so wide open, but he should have just bounced past it to Ricky. It would have split the defense. He probably would have got the finish. First half, Kyle Lowry on the right side. He's in the middle of the floor. Kyle Lowry, say what you want, but he's wide open with like 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Joel Embiid looks at him and decides not to pass him the basketball. I can't remember if it was a turnover or a missed shot. I think it was a turnover. And with it, he was just wide open. Just make the simple play, make the right play, where we just gave them all this praise in the postgame on Wednesday and pregame here, talking about how they valued and protected the basketball the way that they did against Boston. And here they are just making the wrong decisions and throwing the ball all over the place.
They just spread the turnovers out across 4 quarters this time.
Exactly, right, yeah. And with it, and then there was another play where Paul George was wide open, and he just didn't give it to him. He just did not give him the basketball, and he missed the shot on that particular play. Now, Lowry nor George did any antics of throwing their hands in the air and being visibly upset and frustrated, but you know that, hey, man, you're just wide open. Make the right play, and we'll live with the result of a missed shot if it's a missed shot, instead of you forcing something into a turnover or a breakaway the other way because it's a live ball turnover going for the Utah Jazz. So as good as they both were, as we said, neither of them played a perfect game, Maxey and Embiid. There are those frustrating things that are in there where they played so clean against Boston and got away with the win and did all the things that they did tonight. They are so good that sometimes they're going to be rewarded with a W, even though they did not play as well as we expect them to in certain instances with those types of plays.
Can I just say, because you brought him up, Ricky, my guy, I really need you to just hang around the 3-point line. There was that one play where it was a broken play. He got the ball 30 feet from the hoop, but he got the ball 30 feet from the hoop because at no point in the previous 15 seconds was he up at the line. He's just wandering around aimlessly off the ball. Oh my God, get your foot on the line and stop just aimlessly wandering 30 feet.
Is this the one where
you are driving me nuts?
Is this the one where he lost lost the ball?
I think it was a 30-foot bomb that was, I think it was blocked or tipped or something. He was so aimless on that possession. He's so aimless every possession off ball. It's driving me insane.
Hey, I want to quick circle back to, did you guys realize the 4 white guys are all 22, 23, 24, 25 numbers.
Be there for a long time, buddy.
No, I'm saying they're jersey numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Filipowski, 22.
Yep.
Markkanen, 23. Kessler, 24. Potter, 25. So it was, Devon, as you're trying to rack your brain here, I was remembering in our chat earlier tonight, someone was like, why are you not getting out to Markkanen? And it was like, brother, that's Kessler. He can't shoot worth a damn. It's like you gotta keep on the low 20s number white guys. Oh, at least in that case, Markkanen's a blonde, so you should be able to. You can distinguish the Finnish guy, right? The rest of them, though.
Oh man.
The rest of them, how are you supposed to tell them apart, right? They're all basically the same height, wearing basically the same number. It happens. And then, so SB Cole said in the chat, Cooper Flag, number 26. Come on down. At least Cooper will be skinnier, so it'll be easy to tell it's him.
I appreciate Drew Eubanks said, I'm separating myself from these guys, man. I'm going number 15.
Don't lump me in with the rest of these bozos.
See, I'm also convinced that if you took Mo off the Magic, Franz would be like 5% worse, because every now and then, because their numbers, I think, are one apart. Every now and then, I'm convinced somebody's like, I don't have to defend him on the perimeter. Mo can't shoot. Next thing you know, Franz is draining a three. Convinced it happens.
Yeah, I think they even tricked.
Listen, just to be clear, I really like Markkanen, right? And I thought Walker Kessler played really well given the matchup and being in foul trouble. I thought he navigated that pretty well throughout that game. It's just funny. Who picks in basketball 22 through 25, and it just so happens to be 4 white guys who are all like 6'10" ish. Just what a coincidence.
Yeah, it really was. All right, man. Well, Danny Ainge building the squad out there in Utah with the Jazz. 114-111 is the final score for the Sixers. 12-17, a 3-game winning streak it is for the Sixers. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about this victory right here on the post-game show. We'll tell you the player of the game as well. But probably some disagreements. It wasn't a great game all around for everybody, even with the win. Post-game show, the PHLY Sixers post-game show presented by Bet365.
All right, guys. First up, we got to tell you about Empire today, because if flooring is on your to-do list, it's great to have a little bit of help to get you through the finish line. Empire today is the place you want to turn. With Empire today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. Empire Today keeps shopping for floor simple with a curated product selection. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not to overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is as important as what they put in. And Empire Today has a virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how the new floors will look in any space. It's easy. All you do is snap a picture and you can instantly see how the new floors will look in your room. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone today who was working in plumbing yesterday. Flooring is all that Empire Today does. They live and breathe flooring, so you can be confident you're getting honest, upfront advice. And they also service their own warranties, so with Empire Today, you won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use a promo code PHLY. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHLY for details.
And as you go into the new year and you want to teach your children about financial responsibility, TrueMark Financial Credit Union has you covered. With the proper coaching, you need a little help there. TrueMark has the ultimate playbook for teaching that responsibility with a green light account that is free. When you join TrueMark Financial, the Green Light app is changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. So as you're looking for some new resolutions and you're trying to teach the kids again about money and how to save and spend it wisely, overall, the Green Light app is right there for you, setting up savings goals, track their spending, and even get an allowance overall. You can put that right there through the Green Light app. The great part about it is each kid gets their own debit card so they can make their own purchases and learn real-world money skills while you stay in control from your phone and monitoring everything that's going on with the account. With the account, you get peace of mind, and they get the freedom to make those smart decisions with the money. It's like coaching your kid through their very own financial game. And for TrueMark Financial members, again, it's free. So if they're looking to maybe buy a gift, maybe spend their money at school for lunch, or buy a book, whatever it may be. Some might even go as far as wanting to get some Roblox games or whatever they do on the video games overall. Greenlight, you can monitor right there through TrueMark Financial. Get signed up today. Visit TrueMark.com/greenlight for more information. Once again, TrueMark.com/greenlight for more information. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Our player of the game. Let's throw the player of the game up there. Maxey finished with 12 in the fourth quarter. Hit some big shots, 3 threes in the 12 minutes. You could also argue, though, with Joel Embiid, his 9 points. He had a personal 7-0 streak to help them claw back into the game. So Maxey right there, the player of the game. Any disagreements on the Maxey player of the game over Joel or Yabusele, maybe?
I think I'd probably give it to Joel, even though I spent most of our Joel segment complaining. I think I'd give it to Joel.
I certainly would have gone Joel up until the last quarter. Like the 12 points in the fourth might get it to Tyrese, but there was no perfect solution on this one.
Yeah,
I probably would have.
Would anybody give it to Paul George?
Well, I was going there next and ask you guys about that. So our player of the game presented by no one. All right. Let's go to Paul George now. First of all, in the fourth quarter, he was 2 for 4 from the free throw line. They were 9 of 13 in the frame, and on the game, they were 29 for 37. Can they make some free throws? Can we stop this? We're so used to them being able to make free throws as a team. And of course, a lot of that is due to, in the past, with Joel Embiid, James Harden, and then you add Tyrese Maxey. He's at high 80s. Paul George has a good reputation of being a free throw maker and getting to the free throw line. Missed 8 free throws, and he missed 3 himself in the final quarter. Can they make their free throws? We've been talking about this all season long, and they're still missing their free throws.
I mean, they did shoot 78% for the game. Like they missed 8, but it wasn't like one of their worst games of the season or anything like that. The one from Paul
we're counting the other really bad ones. Yes.
Yeah. No. But yeah. I mean, this one wasn't to me as egregious as some of the others.
I think it's just the fact that Paul missed 2 of them down the stretch is probably what.
No, the Paul ones were frustrating.
I mean, Joel was coming into
Maxey's missed free throw. That also, again, he was really good from the free throw line, but when the game is so close, and as Ron says, they're free. You go there, you might as well make them. They're free. Make them.
They are free, but Maxey went 9 for 10. Like he only missed 1.
Mm-hmm. Joel came into this game shooting 95% from the free throw line, and then shot 11 of 13, which is about 10% below his season average up to this point, which is just a crazy. He shot 85% from the line on 13 attempts, and it probably will significantly bring down his average. Not probably, will significantly bring down his average.
I will say what I care about more, though, because the Jazz get to the free throw line a ton. Actually, I think they lead the league in free throw attempts, or at least free throw rate. The Sixers, what did the Sixers have? 37 attempts to 15 for the Jazz?
They're 15, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm more focused 22 on that. That was a huge reason that they came out ahead in this one.
Yeah. And that's the whole point, too. I mean, you look at, in every category, you look at that and you say, all right, they're +1 in 3-point make. The discrepancy there was the made field goals in general overall for the Jazz, but the Sixers had them in a +22 getting to the free throw line, and they were +16 in makes. But this game was close. We talked about the turnovers. They only turned the ball over 8 times, but Joel Embiid had 4 of them, which were very frustrating, of course, and those happening where they happen and when they happen at the certain times of the game. So yeah, I point out the free throws for me. You guys don't have to agree with it. Of course, we don't always agree on everything, but yeah, the free throws for me, they were frustrating, not just the Paul George ones, but yeah, I point out the Maxey one because of where it was once again when he missed the free throw, when they're trying to claw themselves back and they're coughing the ball up, they're doing all these other things. Make your free throws. He did split it. He made the one. That was the one we pointed out earlier on that charge on the block that they had that he got away with. that's that one for me, because it's been a theme and a trend for this season where I point out the free throws for me personally.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say. I think if this was a normal, like if this was a game last year and they miss those free throws and they go 29 of 37, but a couple of them come in the fourth quarter, we probably don't care because for the most part they make their free throws. I think why we care is because they've been so bad from the free throw line. I think that's a valid concern for most of the season. So when it happens again, you get that reinforced. It happens in a big moment. It frustrates you more than it otherwise would. So I think there's some truth to what you're saying because they have been so much worse at the line throughout the season. But I think for the most part, they were okay today. And like I said, I think the getting to it 37 times and crucially, Utah only getting there 15 times to me was the big story.
So Paul George, how about
Yes.
that guy?
That guy. 4 for 11 again? Is it 4 for 11?
He was 4 for 11.
One made three. Had some good looks again.
No, he had a couple made threes. He shot 2 for 5
because he had one to
five?
tie.
Okay.
To tie. Who did he tie?
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter, and then he
with the
passed him
second
later
one.
in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say this. It's basically the same story as it's been all season. He has been a defensive difference maker, right? Like the big run that went on in the first half, a lot of that is the work that Paul George is doing, creating turnovers, making smart rotations. I mean, there are turnovers that he forced that he didn't get credit for, where it was like stunt on a driver, recover to his man. And so you had forced a weird decision from the driver, errant pass, hits your guy's hands, goes out of bounds, and you don't get the steal, but you effectively, that's your turnover, right? Like I put Paul George's name on it. He created that. And there have just been lots and lots and lots of plays like that. Loved the turnover that he forced and then threw the behind the back to Maxey. The thing I loved on offense was not the threes, but the blow by of Markkanen, which that's not crazy, but hitting a dunk out of a jump stop, I was like, oh man, that don't see Paul going up and dunking that often. You certainly don't see him coming to a jump stop and going out of that to dunk. So that was really nice. It's just like you want the normal Paul George to be there offensively, because I think what he's doing on the other end of the floor is so obvious, right? This is not something that's like, oh man, you really got to dig into the tape to see what he's doing, right? Like it is very clear to everyone watching Sixers games that this guy is playing really hard and making an impact on defense. But there is still this undercurrent of, yeah, but he's making $50 million and he's shooting 4 for 11 from the field and can't get shots to go down. And frankly, can't get like quality looks to go down, right? It's not just that he's missing shots. It's that he's getting some nice ones. They actually ran a really nice design look on a catch and shoot for him in, I believe it was the third quarter. It was right when it started to go off the rails and they gave the game back to Utah. But they got him a wide open left wing three. And that was one of the best design plays I've seen specifically for like a Paul George shot. That was one of my favorite plays they ran all year. And I'll have to go back and isolate it later. He's got to hit those, right? Like we're saying, oh, he's got to get it in the flow of the offense. Oh, they got to do this for him. Well, when they do those things for him and they get him the clean ones, he's got to cash those in. It's that simple. And I know he shot, it's 40% on the baseball card tonight, right? But I think it's the same point. No, 2 for 5.
Oh yeah,
from 3. It's 40%. Yeah, but I know.
Sorry, I'm calc. I had to try to correct you when that opportunity was there, but a complete fumble in my.
I guess you're short circuiting after 1 a.m. Eastern time. It says 40% on the baseball card for the night, right? And it's like, yay, celebrate. But it's the same thing as the bomb with the free throws, where it's like, okay, the free throw problem is that you miss some important ones down the stretch and you got to put the game away. With Paul, you see 2 for 5 and you say probably 4 of those are good looks, right? Like they're quality shots that they're creating out of good possessions. And guy of his caliber and his talent, you really want to see more of those go down.
Yeah. And the first 3 of the game, when the Sixers took that 3-0 lead before, Utah came back and had a 12-0 run. That was, anyway, design play. Paul coming off of an Embiid screen, rises up, shoots, knocks it down. I will say, if I had to pick one thing to be concerned about from Paul George coming into the season, whether it was a guy who has always made shots, missing shots that he has always made in the past, or a 34-year-old struggling on defense, I will take the concern that we have now 10 times out of 10. I was a little bit concerned coming in whether he would lose a step defensively. He's been fantastic. And as long as he is fantastic defensively, I still have faith that that shot is eventually going to come around. It is a little bit frustrating that we have to say that after almost every game, and that you're still sitting here saying he's got to find his role in the offense. He's got to make shots that he's always made throughout his career. But I always go back to, he's at an age where you don't, and quite frankly, when you struggle like that, you don't know whether or not his attention will wane, whether or not his effort will come and go. He's been fantastic, and because of that, I will still, I'm relatively confident.
Got a long history of making shots, so it's easy to believe that it's going to come back.
It'd be a very Philadelphia thing if he stopped, though.
I know. Yeah, I know. Man, he's getting that one on the left wing too late in the game where he was wide open and he missed it. It's like, oof. All right, it's a rough start for him. Let's get to a couple of super chats that we do have here. Davon, aka Schoolboy Beats, says, "Never thought I would say it. We miss KJ."
Why not? He was playing well.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, he was in a good run of form, and he gave you an option that was not Kelly Oubre or Ricky Council IV tonight, which that would have been nice because those two were
were playing some bozo basketball today.
They were in I would say their own private Idaho's plural, but maybe Kelly was in his own private, like South Dakota or Montana. I don't know. I don't know where that expression originates from, so I don't know how to iterate on it. But yeah, KJ is a nice guy to have around just to add a little bit of depth.
Oh, Rick trying to go to the basket in the open floor again, man. He's like, my man.
Ricky dropping against Bryce Sensabaugh for no reason when it was like the game of Bryce Sensabaugh's career to date. It was like
he was hooping too. Yes,
it's like, bro, where are you going? The shooter's right there.
Go get him, Rick. Bernard McCoy says, too many minutes for Maxey. When he gets tired, he takes the easy way out, and that's bad threes. Need another guard next to him. Looked really tired tonight.
Well, unfortunately, when Maxey takes a break, you end up with Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry backcourts. And look, those two actually had some decent minutes today. I don't know how much I can rely on that and count on that and push that. The McCain injury hurts them a lot. It really hurts them, not just because he could have played next to Maxey, but because that was the one guy you trusted to kind of run the offense and give you a little bit of a spark when Maxey is on the bench. I remember we had a show, it seemed like right before he got injured, where we went through every lineup, and the conclusion we came to was, McCain's important he's key for every one of these lineups that we're throwing out there. And then he's gone, not available.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it would, if Jared was still out there, I think you could probably take Paul out earlier too. And then you could start the second quarter with Paul and Tyrese potentially. And those minutes can make some real inroads and you can do some interesting things. The sub patterns are just all goofed up right now, in part because Eric Gordon must have had the most elaborate oral surgery in the history of oral surgeries. I said to someone before the game, I was like, is he going to have a whole new mouth when he comes back? Like, what? This guy's missed, the whole week of games? Was this he must have had the worst cavity of all time. Like, what happened there? It's like when Glenn Robinson and Alec Burks got traded here and they took a covered wagon from San Francisco on the Oregon Trail to arrive in Philadelphia. So, they're down on, not that Eric Gordon is like productive depth this year, but would at least allow you to play a little bit bigger with the guards and maybe just play one of Lowry or Jackson. And then you have the other one to be like a second fill in. And I don't know. Yeah. Maxey shouldn't be playing almost 41 minutes though. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Next up, the Portland Trailblazers. Trailblazers on Monday, 10 o'clock, game 3 of the 6-game road trip, game 2 of the West Coast portion. That is 10 o'clock once again in Portland. Our pregame show will begin at 9:30. as always, and a half hour before tip time. So we'll be here with you. Our presenting sponsor here tonight for our post-game show, once again, Bet365. When you sign up for Bet365, our presenting sponsor overall, download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, you must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Are we roll calling this late?
I think we're roll calling. First,
Let's roll call this late.
I got some people saying, oh, if it was wisdom teeth, it'd be tough. Brother, when I got all 4 of my wisdom teeth out at once, I was thugging it out with Motrin the very next day. No painkillers, no Vicodin. Threw that shit in the, well, I can't say that. Threw that in the trash and took an over-the-counter painkiller. Eric Gordon can get out there and play some basketball if it was wisdom teeth.
Is that what you were doing? Were you playing basketball after you were popping those?
I was right back at. That was back when I actually could play sports and I wasn't a washed up old man on a podcast. Anyway, Aaron is the first shout out because he said,
"What up, Aaron?
I walked home uphill after the surgery, and it was both ways, and it was in the snow. And don't you forget it, buddy." Thank you to everybody for hanging out, chilling tonight. Thank you to Money Mar, to Eugene Ross,
what up, Gene?
Jay of the Jungle, my guy Al, our guy
what
Al.
Up, Al?
Morning. Hey, Ron, my girl Winona, Joaquin
hey, Nona.
From Cherry Hill, Mom's grandchildren. What's up, Mom? Checking in.
She needs to go to sleep.
She does. All of us need to go to sleep for that matter. We got John Young. We got Jess.
What up, John?
We got William.
William.
We got. Is that Dalin, who's been demanding a Dante DiVincenzo trade?
That.
You know, if we thought Phil W was Kelly Oubre's biggest fan, well, we know Dante's biggest fan.
That might be Dante DiVincenzo's father or family member, somebody. Shout out to you. Shout out to PJM78. Shout out to Tom Jackson. Igavini.
What up, Tommy?
Who else is in it? Guys, I'm very tired, so I don't know how long this will go. 3-time. Hanging out with us tonight, Brian Knight, Carlo. Our super chatters were Davon and Bernard, right? I'm not misremembering on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think we will just leave it there because I can see the life leaving the eyes of my co-hosts. hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. And hit that thumbs up button to help us in the algorithm, but also to say thank you to super producer Bree, who is stuck here with us no matter how late and how long we go, as Derek hits the sound effect machine deep into the show. Thank you guys for coming out. We'll be back Monday for a pregame and postgame against the Portland Trailblazers. More Sixers after dark, baby.
Winning streak.
Oh, yeah. Got him in.
We all silly like the mayor.